All right, good morning, guys. I am actually in the middle of doing my juice here. But I was just thinking, because like I said, again, the big thing that I've been processing lately is just how unbelievably powerful we are in how unimaginable, a slave can imagine what being free actually is. The whole mindset, the ability to wake up whatever time you want in the morning, not having that threat of constant physical and verbal abuse, the ability to be a free man and not have, not live in that mindset of at any given moment, you could displease your boss or your master or a slave can't even imagine, guys. A slave, we can't even imagine what it will be like to be free and actually free. And, free of the programming, free of the parasites, free of the entities, free of the signals, free of all these things that control us, that have controlled us our whole lives. Again, the only free will we have is what we put in and on our bodies. Everything else is just the illusion of free will within the mind slave box that wherein our programming lies, in our indoctrination lies, where everything we think we're choosing is actually, choose your best poison, choose your poison, right? Do you want to do this or do you want to do that? Do you want, and it's all just, it's all, problem, reaction, solution. It's all handpicked by your controllers, what options you're going to have. And we are unable to, because we were born into enslavement, we are unable to even process a different option other than the options given to us. And when we do try to think outside the box and look for other answers, we're usually going to some outside source, because we're looking for another daddy, another master, another savior, another miracle, another something that has all the answers that's going to promise us the illusion of safety, right? So when we do that, we're met with gatekeepers. We're met with gatekeepers, which are usually controlled opposition, whether they are intentionally paid as government agents or, matrix minions, or they're just, they've, because of their ego and they never really healed, and they think, but they got better in certain ways. They're like, oh, now I can save people, which again, saving people is the whole mentality of being a slave. Only slaves think they can save somebody else. Any free man knows that he cannot save another free man. There's no way, it's impossible. Impossible to save another free man. Everybody must free themselves. The only way out of your prison cell is for you to find the key and let yourself out. And you have to do it. But anyways, so what it just got me thinking, like, because one of the deepest programs of this matrix is how they, how it imbued into us, I lost my train of thought, and that's the whole reason I was making the video. How it imbued into us, because I'm relating, that we are, that there's infinite galaxies and probably multiple realities, and we're just specks of dust, and we live one life and it's over, and then, and like our lives really don't matter, and, you do the best you can, and it is what it is, and things like that, right? Like we feel so what would be useless, so like unworthy, like what's the sense in healing and coming off of our addictions, which is the only thing been keeping us alive, because there's nothing else worth living for, obviously, because we work to consume, right? That we literally work to consume. And that's the only reason why we work. That's the only reason we play into their fake monopoly money and all of the horse shit that they feed us, and the fear and the worry and all that. Is because we work to consume. And the reason we consume is because we were brought into traumatic, abusive environments, social classes, cultural constructs that all are non-conducive to biological life and what it actually means to be human. And so, we are seeking that dopamine hit, that relief from the abuse, because it's all abuse. It's abuse. Remember, the definition of abuse is misuse. It's all a misuse of the human body, and the soul can't deal with it. That's why the ego's created. So the soul can't deal with it, and it's unnatural. So what the ego does is the ego just, your whole life is seeking dopamine hits, distraction, and comfort to get away from the pain, to get away from the agony, to get away from the whole reality of it. And, what does the perfect slave do? It breeds more slaves right into the slavery system for its master. I mean, how nice is that? The master doesn't even have to go out there and acquire new slaves. He's got second generation, third generation, fourth generation slaves that, he didn't even have to teach how to be the proper slave. And, because the parents, the original slaves, taught their children how to be the perfect slave, and over again for generations, to where, by the time you have the second, third generations, you got the perfect fucking slaves, man. You don't even have to worry about them. You don't have to keep your eye on them. They police themselves. They're all a bunch of Uncle Toms and crabs in a barrel, pulling each other back down, ratting each other out. Anytime one of them starts to heal or figure it out, the others are there to bring him down and beat him up and, police him and throw him back in his prison cell and make him feel stupid and worthless, like you taught them how they're supposed to feel. Because otherwise they wouldn't need a master. So, it's the perfect slavery system. And what the Matrix did was it made us feel like we're so insignificant and we're so unworthy, and we're, there's nothing to this life, and it's just meaningless, and it's abuse, and you might as well just get it, do what you got to do, go along to get along, shut up, keep your head low, and get through it, right? And maybe a miracle will come, maybe a savior will come, maybe a hero will come, maybe you'll win the lottery, maybe, maybe, living on faith and belief, right? And, let's remember who we are, guys. With that being said, I just described the human condition. Our species is, the human species is a species suffering from cognitive dissonance, and 99.9% of people display Stockholm syndrome. That's a sad reality. We have a whole species of the most biologically advanced physical avatars on this earth that are occupied by the most powerful, empathic, all-knowing souls that were tricked into allowing an ego, a false-based character, a straw man, a proxy, take over the driver's seat at birth at a young age, and kick the soul, that powerful being, to the back seat, and allow the ego, because the soul can't be controlled. The ego can be controlled through fear, worry, desire, lack. So the Matrix's programming breeds all that into that ego, and then that ego and all his alters are running off of that fear-based programming, and they just run this because all it's doing is seeking dopamine hits and distraction. It can't think critically. It's only reacting. The ego only knows how to go along to get along and please its masters and do what it has to do to survive. That's it. It's a reactionary way of operating. It's a reactionary operating system. It cannot think critically. It lacks the powers of intuition, reasoning, and intellect. It's all operating. The ego can only operate from programming. That's it. It's all reactionary. So, and then what are we? So we're the most powerful. I just said it. And, so knowing that and coming to terms with that, you realize that how foolish it is to go outside yourself for anything. Okay, but this is the part that was killing me just now that I really had to make a video about, because it's just what's so sad. The saddest part in that whole thing is, fine, that's fine. You do that to yourself. You submit willingly as a slave. You can break free at any time, but you choose to, because of your fear and the depth of this programming that you're under in this indoctrination, which is all you've ever known, you refuse to be courageous and honest and figure things out, and you choose to live consent to your abuse and being ruled. Okay, that's fine if you do that to yourself and you make that decision for yourself. What is sad, where we come into play, where our big fucking responsibility, there's two ways. But the first way is by having children and breeding children into this world. That is utterly uncalled for and disgusting. And that's where we really become responsible for, propagating and perpetuating this slavery. The other way is, like crabs in a barrel, when another tries to break free, we just can't stand it when we got to pull that person back down to our level and back into the cave, Plato's cave, and, say, what the fuck are you thinking? And badger them and beat them up, But let's get back to the main point of bringing children into this world and breeding slaves into a slavery system, and then imbuing them with that slavery indoctrination programming and being their jailer. I mean, guys, that is so wrong of us to be doing. That is bad. And I'm not saying this. I'm saying this for two reasons. For those of you who are thinking of having kids, don't. If you are not fully healed and off the grid and non-reliant and detached from this whole 3D illusion and this matrix and all its worldly possessions and material goods and the lack, fear, and desire of having to have shelter and food, and if you're still on that programming, do not have kids. You're going to be responsible. You will be held responsible. Ultimately. Well, how am I going to be held responsible? Nothing's going to happen. He's just full of shit. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Oh, you're going to be held responsible, all right. It's just not in the ways you're thinking, being held responsible. You're going to be held responsible in the manner that, when you get reincarnated back here, you're going to have a special little position just for your dumbass, for being a good little slave. And it's doing is just imbuing you with that slavery system even deeper, and just guaranteeing your next incarnation back as a slave and as a mindless minion. And if you weren't highly abused as a kid, you better fucking thank your lucky stars and figure your shit out and act accordingly and take responsibility and heal, guys. Because, next time you could come back as a straight up slave. You could be working in the mines, mining precious minerals out of the earth from the age of 6 years old, risking your life every day, in horrible conditions and squalor. Or, you could be just highly abused by your parents, physically, mentally, sexually, emotionally, psychologically. And, it's up to you guys. I mean, for what? For what? Your dopamine hits aren't worth it, guys. Your dopamine hits are, look, all those dopamine hits, you know what the crazy thing is about these fucking dopamine hits? Is they only last while you're doing them. As soon as they're over, you got to have them again. because you're miserable. And the thing about dopamine hits is if you're not having one, able to engage in one, you need another. It's a non-ending rat race. It's a non-ending hamster wheel of consumption, guys. And the reason we consume is because the consumption helps take our mind off. All it's doing, it's putting Band-Aids on the broken leg. It's not healing. You're not healing anything. You're not taking care of anything. You're not finding solutions to anything. You're literally just going around in circles and in surviving. And, so we teach our kids. I mean, look at what we teach our kids. Look at the example we set for them. We do nothing but complain about how miserable we are. We do nothing but complain and cry and whine and moan and bitch and wallow in our sorrow. And then, okay, so maybe you're a parent that doesn't do that. Maybe you have things okay. Maybe your life isn't completely horrible and miserable and unbearable. What do you do then? You are teaching your kids how to acquire possessions, how to take care of material possessions that don't do anything for them but keep them bound into their slavery. And then you teach them how to save a fake currency for a fake retirement. The average age of retirement is like 67 years old now. And the average age of death's like 78. Guys, so you're busting your nut for fucking 40-something years, 48 years, just to be able to hopefully, how many few people retire? Oh my God, that actually retire, like can afford, a vacation home, or at least to be able to go on vacation on retirement, to be able to afford whatever they want, all their dopamine hits all the way through retirement with no worries and their health intact. Oh my God, you're talking about maybe 5% of people. The rest of them are so fucking miserable and living fucking week to week on a bare minimum paycheck, can't afford dick, living in squalor. So, for those of you fucking middle class motherfuckers that think, that support this fucking abusive ass empire country of ours that goes over and wages war all over the world and kills poor brown people and takes the resources. For all you morons out there, what do you teach your kids? To save a fake monopoly money currency? Huh? Why? You know how fucking moronic and stupid that is? That you guys put so much value into a fake fucking monopoly money that is completely fucking messed with, controlled, and twisted and played with and by markets and the controllers that be. At any given moment, they can crash anything they want. This stupid ass country's $35 trillion in debt. You guys are stupid if you're still saving money and got bank accounts and relying on your fucking retirement and relying on fucking the dollar to get you by. You're stupid. That's the only word for you, is stupidity. Foolish. Foolish is the word. You're a fool. Straight up fool, because that is insane to fucking think that you're going to fucking, last another 5 years in that stupid shit. But yeah, just, I wanted people to think about how, we pass this stupidity on and this slavery on and don't even think twice about it, and then are so self-righteous about it and come down on our kids for not passing compliance tests and the indoctrination centers we place them in for 12 fucking years of their developing life. So I just want you to be thinking about, how important this is and your actual responsibility in this whole thing, and how, again, just think, a slave can't even imagine what it's like to be free, has no fucking clue what it feels like to be free or what it entails to be free, has no clue what it feels like to be able to make its own decisions and choose what time to wake up in the morning and never have that fear of being beaten or chastised or grounded or disciplined, for leaving a towel out or whatever else. Has no clue what it means to be free. You guys have no clue what it means to heal and allow your soul to occupy this biological avatar. Not a clue. And if you're just running around, you're spouting shit out of your mouth about woe is me and my human condition, and woe is me, you know, I'm so limited, and woe is me, I need food, and woe is me, woe is me. You need to stop that shit, because that's where the other part of personal responsibility comes in, is that you are acting as an agent of the state by doing that and spreading that nonsense, that propaganda and that fucking mind control that we are nothing, when we are the most powerful thing, not only on the spiritual level in this world, but on the physical level as well. So you are responsible for spreading that shit. That's why you need to take responsibility for yourself, because if you did, every word that comes out of your mouth would be a responsible word. You'd have your thoughts, words, and actions aligned. And if you're going to live as a victim, then you're going to speak and think like a victim. And what you say shows your victimhood and your victim mindset. So we're not victims, guys. We are survivors, and being survivors, we need to act as such. We need to take personal responsibility, discipline, be courageous, and display 100% honesty at all times. You know, align thoughts, words, and actions, walk in truth, truth, fact, and reality, and quit playing these fucking games. Otherwise, a slave will always remain a slave. Take care of yourselves, guys. Nobody else will.